Okay, it's officially 10:02, so we will go ahead and, from what my computer says, and get started with our landscaping behind the scenes. My name is Allison Moyer. I am the Associate Director of Landscape Services and Horticulturist for the University of Richmond. I am, our department is a great department. I love our department, but I'm going to start by telling you a little bit about my background. I came from, I got a degree in turf management and horticulture. I did a double major at Virginia Tech. So I am a Hokie at heart, but now a spider also, which is super exciting. And after that, I worked at collegiate school just down the road for 11 years, taking care of all of their grounds and athletic fields. So then I got the opportunity. It was one of those once in a lifetime opportunities. I was completely happy and comfortable at collegiate, but this was like the dream job off in the distance that came available. And somehow I got the job, and it was hard to leave collegiate because I actually never thought I would leave collegiate, but this was the opportunity that I had been waiting for. So I'm super grateful to be here. I have been at U of R for about 3.5 years now, and I have truly enjoyed every moment. It's been a great move for me. I did not realize at the time how good of a move it would have been, but looking back now, I'm super grateful that I was able to make that move. So enough about me. Let's get into the landscaping department behind the scenes. We are a department of 25. That includes everything that's outside. We deal with athletic fields, we deal with grounds, we deal with the dreaded S word that we might get this weekend, which is snow. We deal with anything that's outside, signage, anything that's outside, it's in our wheelhouse that we have to deal with. Road repaving, all of that is part of our responsibility. So the other part of the landscape department most people don't realize is we are also part of the auto shop is also in our department. So we have 2 full-time mechanics, and they are responsible for all the fleet on the university. So that includes all the vehicles, all the golf carts, all the mowers and equipment that you see. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to take you on a walking tour. So I have you on my cell phone, and I apologize if it's a little bit bouncy, and I'm going to try to go slow so that it doesn't get you dizzy. But I apologize if it gets a little bouncy at times, and feel free in the chat if it does, just tell me that, because I'm not going to be able to notice it. But before we do that, I wanted to see if I could share my show this is our break room here in the landscape shop. You can see we have some old furniture but this is where we eat lunch, and the guys, we have meetings and all. But I wanted to focus in on one of our mottos for the landscape team. It's toughen up, buttercup, you are landscape. So we all work hard, and we take it seriously here, that we do a lot of hard work, and we have a really awesome team. So we have to all be tough in this department. So I'm going to put on my mask so that I'm following all the correct rules, and I'm going to walk out of the break room, and I'm going to go downstairs, and I'm going to show you our shop. I'm going to show you what we're getting ready for this weekend, potential storm this weekend. And I'll show you some of our equipment, and I'll show you the auto shop. And that's kind of our behind the scenes look for now. And if anybody has any questions, put them in the Q&A box, and we'll address those as they come in. I did have a couple of questions that came in early. One was, what's the oldest plant on campus? I did some digging because I honestly didn't, or what's the oldest tree on campus? I did some digging. I honestly didn't know right off the top of my head. I had some hunches, but I didn't know. Dr. John Hayden's class did a survey of all the trees on campus a few years ago, and it was determined there is a sycamore tree over at the North Court where the arch is. I don't know if you guys know where the arch at North Court is. Huge, huge sycamore. It's on the back side of North Court facing the tennis courts. That tree is probably the oldest one on campus currently. It's an American sycamore. The second one that we're guessing is one of the willow oaks up at Boatwright Hill. So those were the two. Another question I had was about using native plants and pollinators. We are big into using native plants on campus. That's one of our goals. And pollinators too. We recently became a Bee Campus USA within the last 12 months. So we are planting lots and lots of pollinators. The Eco Corridor was a good spot for us to do that. So we have planted tons of pollinators on the Eco Corridor. Native plants are our first choice when we're deciding what to put in places. So we start with a native and look at the conditions of the site. And if we can use it, we use it. And from there, at times we do have to switch to a non-native, but it's not very often. We really do, in general, try to stick with our natives on campus. So let's do a quick tour of our shop so that you can see everything that we have going on here. Oh, I'll show you. This is Karen. She is one of our landscape supervisors. So she takes care of the Richmond side of campus. So guys, here it is. Here is all the snow brushes and blowers that we have here. You can see the walk behind. Now I'm going to start showing you some of the other stuff we've got. This big machine right here is one of our mowers that we take the decks off in the wintertime, and we actually put a brush on the front of it for a snowstorm. We have another. You can see we've got another one, and John, our athletic field supervisor and auto shop supervisor, is working on that, trying to get ready for the storm. And we have another one. We will run 3 of these during the snowstorm. And then we also have, I'm going to take you over and show you a golf cart. We also have some golf carts with snow blades on them. So we are getting a fleet of snow blades also to clear sidewalks. So you can see we have 2 golf carts and two blades right there hooked up. This is our shop. You can see this is where we keep all the paint for our athletic field painting. It comes in buckets, and the aerosols go in the firebox, the flammable boxes. So I will keep moving. Let me show you all of our ice melt we have out right now. Pallets and pallets of ice melt. So we are ready to keep the campus safe if we get the storm. But right now we're on the line of whether we're going to get lots of snow or it's going to be a mix between snow and rain. So it's one of those things that we just have to kind of watch. I'm going to take you into, this is where we keep all of our tanks. Most of these tanks are water tanks. You can see the brown ones up top. We do spray dye on the mulch to make the mulch look fresh every year. And then this is our tool room. So I am going to show you, we are big fans of steel. And so we have all of these weed eaters, blowers. A lot of the blowers are out right now because the guys have them on their backs because we're still working on snow removal. That's our blowers. And then if I turn this way, here's all of our shovels and rakes and all that fun stuff. So this is our tool room. And now I'm walking into the mechanics shop. We have 2 full-time mechanics. Our mechanics are awesome. They never have a shortage of things to work on, as you can imagine. Right now looks like we have a golf cart being worked on. And this is Steve over at the computer. He is one of our great mechanics on staff. Tire changer, we've got big lifts. So we do have 2 full-time mechanics. I just want to show you over there, all the toolboxes. So let's see, let me turn this back around. I know we're getting some questions. I will answer the questions at the end once we're done with our tour. I was going to take you guys outside really quick to kind of show you the back of the landscape shop, and then I will open it up for questions because I've seen a couple questions go through. Let's see. Let me put this back on while I'm walking in here. I'll take it off once we get outside because as long as I'm not within 6 feet of somebody, I don't have to have it on. Okay. Whew, sun is bright. Can we flip you around again? So this is the back of the landscape shop. We, as you guys probably have seen, we use everything. We utilize golf carts and behind them. So here is all of our golf carts. Up top, I don't know if you guys can see, but there's a big brown building. That's a big shed that we store all of our salt for the roads and all that kind of stuff. That's a big storage shed up there. We also have a lot of road closed signs. That's another thing we are responsible for, our signs on campus. And then you can see we've got all the trucks, we've got, most of the trucks are out right now, but we've got plows on them. This truck has a spreader on the back, so we do fill that with rock salt and we put it on the roadway. We've experimented with some of the liquid stuff that VDOT uses. Unfortunately, that requires a lot of big, heavy mixing tanks and mixing systems. So we haven't gone fully that direction yet. And we have found in this area, we get a lot of storms that start as rain. And if that's the case, it washes the product away. So it's pretty much pointless. We haven't invested in that yet. We're not saying we're not going to invest in it, because it definitely is on our list of things to do. But for right now, rock salt is still what we use. I'm going to take you cold, and you kind of are seeing the bare bones of the shop and what we do in the wintertime. I think it'd be a lot more exciting to look at all the pretty colors when we have fresh plants and stuff in the spring. So let me swap you around again. This is our landscape storage area. It's kind of a mess, I'll be honest. But what behind the scenes tour doesn't show you all of our mess. We just had to take a couple of holly trees out from around the Wellbeing Center. They're putting a sidewalk in and they need to get shifted. And we didn't know exactly where the sidewalk was going to be. So we healed those in to keep them safe until we can put them back in the ground. Another thing that we have back here is all of the carpet to repair synthetic turf. We do most of the repairs in-house. If they're big, we will get a contractor to come in, but we do a lot of it ourselves. So you can just see we have rolls and rolls. And it's funny because each synthetic turf field has a different carpet on it. So we have to have rolls of every type of carpet that we have on campus. So, yep. Let's see, what else? Oh, one cool thing that I thought was very cool, and I can walk you back into the shop and I can answer some of your questions once I show you this, is I'm sure everybody has on their mind, where do they store, can't lose my mask, sorry. Where do they store all of those great big wreaths on the side of Boat Road? Well, you guessed it, it's the landscape shop. We have them, and I'm gonna walk a little bit quicker. We have them on the side of our shop, and they stay there all year, so that, and then when Christmas comes, the landscape team comes together, we get in a big circle and carry them over to Boatwright. So let me go back in the shop and I'll show you. Let me put my mask back on really quick too. Let's see. Okay. Whoops. Whoa, it's chilly outside. Okay. There they are, the great big wreaths. They stay there for about 10 months of the year, and then they go up on Boatwright. So anyways, Olivia, do you want to start asking questions to me?
Yes, we have some questions. So, first question, what is the eco corridor that Allison mentioned in her comments about native plants? So I think if some people aren't local to Richmond, they may not know about the the corridor yet. So if you just want to talk about that a little bit.
I would be happy to. If you have not seen the Eco Corridor, make a trip to Richmond to see it. It's a pretty cool thing. I'll be honest, it's one of the coolest things that I have ever seen happen. We used to have a creek. It was called, the creek is called Little Weston Creek, and it used to be straight and narrow, and the water from the runoff from campus would race its way to the James River. Over the last couple of years, we have redone this area. There's a trail that goes down it now, and it connects UR Drive by the steam plant and facilities department all the way to River Road. And we have a community garden in there. Well, the community garden's always been there, but we've beefed it up and made it much more nice. And we have planted, and now the stream, instead of being straight and narrow for the water to run straight from campus to the James River, it's a winding, slow moving stream that is designed to flood when we get heavy rains. And the idea behind this is we have all these plants, these native plants planted there. And the idea is when it floods, that the plants can suck up some of the nutrients that are in that water before it heads to the James River. Also, some of the sediment settles before it heads to the James River. We worked with a company called Res to redo this, and it was an amazing process. Like I said, if you haven't had a chance to see it or enjoy it, really take some time to come down and check it out. It's amazing. We actually have had our neighbors around the campus just love it. I mean, it is dog walking central. During the quarantine, I think it was the highlight of the city of Richmond, something new for people to check out. So it's a great place that's where we put we've put a lot of pollinators in it, and we've planted over 12,000 trees. So it looks open right now, but in the future, it will become a forest.
Wonderful. I can definitely attest to the corridor being a highlight of quarantine and taking our dog there. It's awesome.
Yep.
Another question is, where on campus are your buildings located? So I think some people may not even know like where you guys are hidden on campus.
So we are hidden. I should have probably showed you the outside of our building. Facilities building is a big warehouse. It looks like a warehouse from the outside. And we are, if you know where the commons is, downstream of the commons is what we call the steam plant. That's where all the steam and stuff for heating the buildings is made, is the steam plant. We're directly across the road from the steam plant and directly across the road from the Wilton Center. So we're kind of tucked back, hidden. I would say at this point, I feel like campus has no back door, but if there was one back door, it's facilities. But we gotta exist somewhere. So that's where we are. A lot of people don't know that we're here. So we try to hide ourselves and disguise our mess as much as possible, but you use all that mess to keep the rest of campus looking the way it does.
Perfect. All right, a couple more. Do you have a list of natives that you've used?
I have a list. I don't have, so again, I've only been here for 3.5 years. I could make a list of what I have put in. As far as a comprehensive list of the entire campus of what we have, I do not have that. A lot of it is who's in charge at the time on what gets planted. So the Eco Corridor was 100% native. A lot of the areas that we've planted recently, the new Wellbeing Center is a native planting. We've got native fruiting cherry trees. Instead of planting ornamental cherry trees, we planted native fruiting cherry trees. We planted blueberry bushes. We planted Russian sage. You know, we really have tried to focus on things that would be good for pollinators and using the natives.
Perfect. Okay. How long does it take to cut all the grass?
So we are in a rotation, and it has not been easy. I'll admit this past 2020 year was not easy to keep up with the grass because, as you know, coronavirus has affected everybody. And we were on a rotating schedule when COVID first started. And hold on. My phone, I keep getting phone calls. I apologize. We were on a rotating schedule. We have it set up so that in 1 week, we can get the entire campus mowed. Our goal is over the entire week, we can get the entire campus. That's not just mowing on a mower. It's weed eating, it's blowing, it's doing any of the trimming that needs the trimming that needs to be done. We have a slogan, another slogan for our department is mow, weed eat, and blow before you move to the next location. So many times, one of my biggest pet peeves, so many times people will mow an area and they will not weed eat it. And around the signs and around the edges, curbs to where the roadways are, or around flower beds, there'll be high grass because the mower can't get it. And it just looks very undone. I would rather see taller grass in another section and in one area completely done, because what happens is we get sidetracked. We move the mower to the next section and we forget about the last section. So this has been a big thing that we've been working on in the last couple of years is do not move to the next section until it has been weed eated and blown. And that's the blowing is the other part. You know, when we mow, obviously we make a mess. Let's blow that mess up. If it's right at lunchtime and you have 10 more minutes to finish an area completely, I want you to finish that area before you take lunch. And we'll make it up to you on the back end of your lunchtime. We will not cut your lunch short, but please don't leave an area a mess. So, oh, my screen went dark. I can still see me. Olivia?
I can still see you, so it looks fine on my end.
Okay. So yeah, so mowing, we have a rotation during the growing months of the year. The whole campus gets mowed within 1 week.
Awesome. Okay, we have a couple more. So there have been some newly planted trees that are staked. How long will those remain in place?
Yep. So my rule of thumb for staking trees is 1 year. The reason we keep them on for a year is as you know, even in the past 24 hours, we've had some very, very strong winds. And if that happens, then they usually end up falling over and rip out some newly pushed out roots, which is usually, I mean, you basically have to start back over with trying to grow in this plant. And it takes a lot. When a plant is first put in the ground, we have to baby it. We have to water it. We have to make sure that it's getting situated until it gets its roots out. So the reason we leave the stakes in for 1 year, and the reason we do leave them in for a year is because we want that tree to be rooted as hard as possible so it doesn't fall over and have to start that whole process again.
Okay, I know we're almost at time, so we have just 2 more questions. So here's one more. How are decisions made about which flowers to plant where? When I was on campus, the tulips in front of Maryland Hall were spectacular.
That is a big part of my job. And you guys do not know how much fretting I do about picking the flowers on campus. We do have a grower that custom grows for us for our annuals. For our tulips, we do plant them as bulbs. This year we did not. This year, I'll give you guys a little inside tip. It'll be interesting to see how our tulips look this year. So usually we pull out the tulips because the tulips are looking bad right at the time of graduation. They've finished their bloom and they're just like melting down. And so the thing with tulips is when they're melting down, they don't look pretty, but that's when they're putting all the energy back into the bulb of the tulip. So they need that time to be able to do it, but we can't do that because that's right at graduation. And who wants to look at the ugly foliage? Everybody wants to take their picture at the University of Richmond sign with pretty flowers underneath. So most years we pull them out. This year, because we had to reduce our budget because of COVID, one of our cost saving measures was since we did not have graduation on campus, we didn't pull the tulips out. So we will see how they look this year. Tulips, depending upon who you talk to, tulips are considered an annual a lot of times because they're not reliable rebloomers. Sometimes they do fantastic. Sometimes they're not reliable. So we're probably going to get between 70 and 80% bloom of what we had last year. But when you're talking about the money savings and having to cut budgets, it seemed like an easy decision for us. As far as the annuals on campus, I will tell you guys that is one of the hardest things, especially the main entrances. You need to have the right color combo. You need to have something that you can look at driving by quickly. It's not like a walk-up bed where you can see the details. So I put a ton of time into that. We do have a custom grower right here in Richmond, and we place our orders. So for our spring order that we plant right before graduation, we place that order right at Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving before. So I already have my order in for this next year at graduation time, has already been in, and it's starting to be custom grown for us. For the pansies, I usually put our order in May to be able to plant in October. So, and this year, if you guys have been on campus, go look. We've tried something different with our, so pansies, you just don't get that many options. Like, you got pansies and you got Dusty Miller. We use Dusty Miller and pansies a lot. We're like, we want something different. So this year we tried to use some red and white cabbage, or purple and white, however you want to call it. And so we have cabbage at Stern Plaza, we have it at Maryland Hall, and we have it at Maudlin Center. It's looking pretty good. I'm kind of happy. You know, most people in the Richmond area haven't seen big beds of cabbage before. It's not about the flower color, it's about the foliage color. And in the wintertime, it's really working for us. So yeah, we're excited about that. I did have one question that was sent in prior to that I have not answered on, Olivia, so I was going to touch on that.
Is that the ivy question?
No, it was composting.
Okay, well, that one, and then the ivy question came in through the chat as well. So I know we touched on that before. Yep. And those can be our last two, and then we can wrap it up right at 10:30-ish.
Okay.
Thank you.
So somebody had sent in a question before about the composting on project on campus. We are super excited about this. This is one of the wins of COVID, I guess is what you would say. This was something that we that facilities and the sustainability, Robbie and Drzeski had been pushing for a long time, and we just hadn't gotten there. But with all of the eating that's happening outside, it made sense to go ahead and do it. So we've started composting on campus. Sorry, my arm is getting tired. Started composting on campus. But what happens is we compost, that gets picked up, taken to another facility, because that compost has to work, and it takes about 9 months before that compost is ready to use. And so they take that, we have a company that we've contracted with that takes that off site, and they do that. Like I said before, we don't really have very many back doors to the university. So there's no good place we could put that compost, because it would attract animals. There would be a smell associated with it, and we just didn't want to have it on campus. So a contractor takes that off campus. And then once it's composted in 9 to 12 months, the company gives us a certain percentage of that compost. And I don't know what that is yet, because we're new to this. So the company that we're using is Nope, N-O-P-E. You can look it up on the internet. Natural Organic Processes. I don't know what the E stands for. Enterprise? Maybe? Nope. It's Nope. And they're based out of Richmond here. And like I said, they take them off. So we will get some compost back again. I'm not sure how much we will get back, but we use compost all the time in our flower beds, in the community garden. So whatever compost they can give back to us, we will utilize. And then the ivy question. So the question was, will you please consider addressing the invasive ivy overtaking much of the soil and many of the trees and the forest above the lake? Yes, so invasive species are a problem on this campus. One of the reasons that I came to U of R, and it was like my dream job, was the mature landscape. What comes with a mature landscape? Some other problems too. And those are the invasives. We are currently fighting that fight with porcelainberry, ivy, and I even call now, Rez, who did the eco corridor, did not call poison ivy an invasive, but in my world, poison ivy is invasive. I don't like it. And I said, I don't care if it's not on your list, it's going to be on my list. So we're taking care of poison ivy too. So those were the targeted plants that we're targeting on the eco corridor. As for above the lake, with having so much area on campus, we are short staffed. I told you we have a staff of 25. Well, I'll be honest with you, we're only really a staff of 20 right now. And 5 positions doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a whole lot. It's about 20% of our department. So we are focusing on what is the biggest impact currently. The ivy on the trees around the lake, I'll be honest with you, ivy will kill a tree if it completely infests it. It's not going to kill it today. It's not going to kill it tomorrow, but long term, it will. It's not good for the plant. When we see it and we have time, and I have staff that are trained to cut it, we will cut it. Basically, the easiest way to do it is you cut a section of it out right at the base so that it can't jump, and you paint the base of it with some chemicals so that part doesn't come back. And we've done this at a lot of areas on campus, but as you know, our campus is so large. It's just one of those things. It's a little by little. So it's not that we're ignoring it, and we don't want people to think we're ignoring it. But it's not super high priority, but we are taking care of it little by little. Any other questions?
We had one more. Do we have any kitchen gardens?
So right outside, I love that question because I'm really big with eating or having. My husband's a farmer. My dad was a farmer, so I am very big on that. And a lot of people don't know about this. So right outside the dining center, there's this little garden to the right. When you're walking in the doors, there's a little garden planted to the right, and it's our herb garden. Now, I don't think the dining hall uses it that much, which is kind of disappointing because every year we go to Great Big Greenhouse. Because it's a small garden, I can't order this stuff wholesale, but I go to Great Big Greenhouse and I pick out all sorts of fun herbs. So I'm encouraging y'all, if you guys go to the dining hall and you want some basil, I always have multiple types of basil in there. We always have parsley. We always have chives. Oh, we have horseradish. Did you guys know that you could grow horseradish here? So this was new to me. We can grow horseradish in Richmond, Virginia, and then we dig it up once a year and we half the size of it and we take part of the root, and I actually got to take it home. A couple years ago, nobody was taking the basil. So come in the fall, I went over there with my snips and I started snipping it, and I took home a whole bunch of basil to make pesto at my house. I figured if nobody else was going to use it, I was going to enjoy some pesto. So we have that garden. We got lots of herbs. And then the other place, like I had mentioned before, is right outside the Wellbeing Center, close to the Organic Crush patio. We've planted fruiting cherries, we've planted blueberries, we've planted, I guess those are the two main things that we've planted. And we do have a fig tree over close to the Wilton Center, the back of the Wilton Center, which is close to the chapel, coming towards facilities. Great big fig tree. It's ginormous. Actually, it's on the list to get hard pruned this winter. But yes, we have that fig tree also.
Great, I think we got them all. Thank you so much.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We really appreciate it, and just keep following us on Instagram, our alumni Instagram and Facebook accounts. We will be sure to keep you guys updated, and hopefully check back in with landscaping later on in the spring for more updates and behind the scenes later on when all of those spring plants start coming. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, go Spiders, and thank you so much for joining us today. And thanks to Allison.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye.
have a good one.